Hello, welcome to the 1878FM podcast. Three of us again today, only this time it's Sam. It's not Dave. Last week it was Dave, not Sam. So there you go. Well, the Fab Four will be back at some stage, I'm sure. But Sam, how are you? We haven't spoke to you since before Christmas, so all good? Believe your Christmas was tremendous, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. Christmas was absolutely disastrous for me. It was awful. I mean, I had a good time because basically everyone in my family got ill. So I was cosplaying as a divorcee. I was just sleeping on the sofa, drinking on my own, watching documentaries about war as everyone else was in bed. And I mean, I had a cracking time, to be honest. And then my mum got a bit poorly, so then I went and stayed with my mum's for a couple of nights. She's all right now, but just taking the divorcee kind of motif a little bit too far, I was like, this is getting ridiculous now. So everyone's better now, but there's loads of food and loads of booze left in our house. And it's hard to get onto that like healthy eating diet for January when you've got 48 cans of lager staring you in the face and loads of cake and cheese and brie and all of this. So I don't know. I might have to just start moving the camera back every week as I expand in size, just for the perspective. But how was your Christmas, lads?
Mine was good. Sounds, yeah. I mean, there was a little bit of I didn't get it, but there was a little bit of sickness popping around. Nothing too bad, but they were under the weather. I was fine, to be fair. But yeah, it was good. It was good. Pedro?
I'm super healthy. I don't get sick. So
well, if I didn't get sick, that's literally what I just said.
I didn't get sick.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I think there's a lesson for
Dave
everyone.
Wasn't sick.
Yeah.
So
there's a lesson for everybody there.
There you go.
It's the other people who get sick and not us. But the world seems like it's changed a lot since we last spoke to Sam. Feels like there's been lots of change.
What, like clouds lifted and stuff, do you think?
I don't know. Shoulders maybe a bit lighter. I don't know. There just feels like there's been a change in the air.
Come on then.
Sam's work will dry up though as a Sean Dyche impersonator, sadly. But sadly. Because
I was really forging my own sort of niche there with this.
Well, you had
the impersonation.
Well, you had to sleeping on the couch bit sorted. So anyway, we'll move on.
Right, okay, let's move on. I mean, since we did the podcast last week, Everton have changed their manager. David Moyes is back as Everton's manager. Sam, what are your initial thoughts on Moyes coming back?
Well, I've been asked about this by everyone. It's weird, isn't it? You know, when for some people, I'm the only Everton fan friend they've got. So everyone's coming to me like I'm some kind of embassy who offers the opinion of everyone. So obviously, this isn't everyone's opinion, but it feels like a lot of people are happy with the appointment. I certainly am. I feel like it's an upgrade on what we had, which wouldn't have been hard the way it was going. And we've talked to death about all the problems Sean Dyche had and all the kind of short-sighted nature of his approach and his one plan that he's got that doesn't even work and sort of fell apart at the end. But I think David Moyes is... We had it with Garner, didn't we? Where Garner left, we looked for a replacement and we couldn't find one. And then his replacement was Garner. And it feels like this is like that, but on a bigger, longer scale. If David Moyes can get anywhere near what he did in the first spell at Everton, which I'm not expecting him to, because, that was built over a long period of time with lots of groundwork, we'll all be made up, won't we? If we can get top six consistently, pushing on the top four, couple of cup runs, we'll be made up compared to where we are now. I think he's a manager who he doesn't sign players, but he very rarely signs players without having done due diligence on them. And he knows exactly what he's trying to get into, and he knows exactly what he needs. He knows what kind of personalities he needs in the dressing room, and they're all things that I think we've just not had in the past 5, 6, 7 years. Whether he can do that under the director of football, or whether there's a longer term plan to then change the director of football or change the structure of the club, we don't know. But there's a lot of questions about this appointment, but also in the short term, I think he's going to get more. We're going to score more goals and we're going to win more games, I would imagine, under David Moyes. So that's got to be a good thing, because where it was couldn't have continued.
Yeah. I mean,
absolutely.
I think it is an upgrade. It's quite a big upgrade, in my opinion. Because facts will tell you that, and experience and everything else. And I mean, I have been laughing, like some people, David Moyes going back to Everton, can he still do it? Like, you do realise he has been managing in the Premier League every year. It's not like he's been off in Saudi for 5 years and, you know, and can he come back to the Premier League? He's someone who's hugely experienced. Now, you look at it and you go, could we have been sexier and gone for a long-term manager, if you like, a younger manager? We could have done. But there is risks with that. And Everton right now, and if you step back from that and look at it from the ownership group, they want to get the feet fully under the table, don't they? And make sure Everton are a Premier League club and all of that. And David Moyes is someone who knows the league, knows the club, is a very good manager, very experienced manager. It sort of makes sense to bring David Moyes in at this time.
No, I think, and
that's where we are, I think.
I think it does make sense. Now, whether that means that it's everyone's, you know, everyone feels like it's the right appointment. Obviously, there'll be different opinions on that. Some people don't like it. Some people want the more progressive manager. But I think for me, it just feels like, like you've both said there, I think the Freakins will be looking to rebuild the football club from the inside out. And they need expertise to do that. I think someone like David Moyes, I think the first difference between David Moyes and Sean Dyche is David Moyes would want to be here at Everton.
Yeah, that was going to say. He actually likes Everton.
He wants to be here at Everton and maybe feels like he can be here for a while and build something again. And maybe it be his last ever sort of job in football. It mightn't be. It mightn't be his last job, but you know, he'll probably want it to be his last job in football. And he'll want to rebuild Everton in you know, and create that legacy that other managers create when they're at football clubs, that can be talked about, and obviously you do that hand in hand with the director of football and just bring some leadership at the top. I think, you know, when David Moyes talks, people generally listen. He's so well respected in the game as well. So I think, you know, I've got no problem with it whatsoever. I think it is. I think the club has been broken down, as Sam mentioned there. The club has been broken down so much in the last 10 years. All the good stuff that David Moyes put into the club has been taken out bit by bit. You know, Roberto Martinez improved on some of that stuff in the first year, but then took the stuff he improved on, made that worse, and then made the stuff that worked for Moyes and for Martinez and removed that as well. So you got left with pretty much nothing. And it's just been dismantled and dismantled and dismantled for the last 10 years. So you probably do need a Moyes back in there to get that, to get those foundations again. And for owners who haven't got probably too many ideas of the understanding of not only Premier League football, but football as a whole, you know, they've only been in the game for 2 or 3 years, and before that they had no experience in any sports as well. So that's a big thing as well. A lot of these people who come over from America into European football, they've owned baseball teams and NFL teams. Obviously these are fresh into it. So having that guidance, I think, will be important in the next couple of years.
He is. I mean, he is a strong manager, isn't he, Sam, as we've seen? And you know, this is a fella who, I think, you look at West Ham's finishes since he come back to them. You know, they've been really good. Won a trophy, got to another semi-final, got to a quarter-final in Europe, so they've had European football. Clearly, Everton is in need of a reset. It's in need of someone who looks up rather than always looking down. I think Sean Dyche, just by his nature and probably by the fact there was so much uncertainty at the club, just talked about keeping its head above water. But I think we need someone who's going to try to drag the direction of that upwards so that everyone can buy into that. And I think when you're looking at David Moyes, it is about putting those things in place, really, isn't it, right now, where everyone can look upwards and people can go, you know what, there's some standards here again. Because that's all I've heard, people who spoke to him and about him, and people I was talking to over the weekend, it was like, I mean, a lot of them just said immediately, standards are going right back up.
Yeah.
Forget about everything else, the standards and the demands of everybody around them. And some people won't like it at the club. Some people are going to be in for a rude awakening, and that's players, but it's staff and it's other people around it. He is very much a man in control, and he's a man in control with power, because regardless of anything else, this is a fella who's being installed by the new owners to take the mantle. And listen, this could last 5 months, it could last 18 months, it could last 2.5 years. Who knows? But he's definitely going to be given everything he's got. And the big plus for me is he actually likes Everton.
Yeah.
That's like a massive upgrade,
isn't it?
No, but you know what I mean.
I know. No, I agree. It's funny, innit? Because you think that's, doesn't necessarily need to be top of the list, but you don't really want to manage it. I felt like the last few managers, maybe Lampard sort of warmed to us, so you seem like he did, but certainly Benitez and Dyche, they've had almost like a little bit of a thinly veiled disdain for the club, and not just the way it's run, behind the scenes. And I can appreciate if that's the case, because that's stuff I'm not privy to. But just as a theoretical thing, as Everton as a club, you just say the right things. I think David Moyes is probably the last manager that we had when he speaks post match. I used to feel proud, because he spoke in the right way. Of course, the results helped as well, because we were often pushing up the league as well. And when he left for Man U, there was this weird sort of feeling that certainly I felt like, well, he's taken us as far as we can. We don't have any money. That was before Machiri came in. He's got this opportunity to go to Man U, and it was only how he sort of acted afterwards with those couple of signings he was trying to make. Where I think myself, certainly, I was like, I sort of threw out all the kind of good times that we'd had with him. I hate that phrase, good times, by the way, because I know it's got terrible connotations with Everton. But if you think about just where we've been since he left, we've never got anywhere near that level of quality and consistency. And that word you use, bar standards, is just incredible. And it must be quite difficult for someone like Moyes to come back in, not in terms of the job, but just like you said earlier, Ped, about the systems he put in place to come in and think, that's been dismantled. This isn't happening anymore. Why has this changed? There used to be a dartboard there. Why has that gone? Everything that he put in place that were there, put in place to build a team that was looking for success. But he's older than he was, but he's still got that fire. You can when he talks, he's got passion, and I just think we'll see how it goes. But I'm really happy that A, Sean Dyche went, and B, that Moyes has come in.
Well, I just hope that he's, as you said, he's obviously a lot older. He went to Man United in what you'd probably describe as his peak. I just hope that and that the most important thing is, as Bad said before, he's been in the game, so he's not stupid. He understands where the game's moved. So he's, he hopefully things will be delegated out to people as well. He'll understand that, having younger coaches around them, and he understands the modern player as well. It's not like he's going to walk into a dressing room and expect the same kind of attitudes that were with the players he had at the time. He understands the modern play because he's just left a load of them, 6 months ago at West Ham. So he understands the modern play, and that's hugely important. But it is about driving standards up. But when you listen to players who played under him at Everton, they all love him because he did drive the standards up. They love him because, you listen to someone like, I think someone like Steven Pienaar is a brilliant example. Someone that left Ajax, went to Dortmund, failed at Dortmund, and then came to Everton. And the first, you listen to him, and he always says, what he said to me was, you need to work hard, but if you work hard, you'll get in the team. And then when you're in the team, you can express yourself. And Pienaar said, that's exactly what I wanted. I wanted to be challenged. I wanted to work hard every single game. Yeah. And so many players you listen to who'll say that, someone probably like Leon Osman, that, it was a talented player, but played in the Premier League for 10 years because of David Moyes. Now, a lot of players, I think, like Leon Osman, probably would never have made it in the Premier League, even with that talent. But because another manager might have been looking for something else out of them, but wouldn't have demanded it from them. But I think someone like Moyes pushing them every single day is why he had a really good career and ended up an England international. Madly, he was on the pitch when Zlatan scored that overhead kick, wasn't he, against England? So I think he will drive those standards, and some Everton players will really appreciate that, I think, and can get more out of them. I think people have already sort of look at someone like Njai and think, I wonder what he can do a bit more with Njai, trusting that he works hard, but he'll play him in a position that'll get more out of him because he trusts him. You know, so I think we'll get that work rate, but having that as well, I think that's hugely important. And we know for a fact that the standards have never been as high. You know, he watched over Everton players and Everton younger players like Sir Alex Ferguson watched over the Man United players. He, you know, and we've heard some not so pretty stories about like Everton youth players and their attitudes and just little things like the appearance of around Finch Farm and what other coaches have said. That won't happen under this guy. That will not be allowed to happen. You know, and if that means some people are like don't like working for him, then so be it. So be it. You've got to drive the standards up, and you've got to have that fella who every day is on top of that, and I'm sure David Moyes will be, and he'll be saying to other people, it's up to you to drive that as well. And I'm looking forward to having those standards back at our football club, because I think they've been missing for so long. And a big part of that is, and don't get me wrong, a big part of that is managers like Sean Dyche come into the club and no fault of their own don't feel like they're going to be sticking around very long, so they just don't bother with the other stuff. Whereas I think Moyes will be like, yeah, I'm here for the long term, or if I want to be here for the long term, that's how I'm going to do it, by driving those standards, because this is my club, because we are his club. That's important to recognise as well. Yeah. We are David Moyes' football club, and that will, I think we'll see that straight away.
First thing he should do is go into Finch Farm, and if those photos are still up with the escape against Crystal Palace the other year, get that down, put anything else up, get that one of the dogs playing snooker instead, or the tennis players scratching their ass. That'd be better, wouldn't it?
Yeah,
than that,
absolutely,
because that's linked so closely to the standards and what's accepted at this club, and what should be what we should be striving for.
Yeah, exactly. You know, remember when Mark, funny enough, when Marnes went in, remember he had all the pictures of us winning stuff, and then he left a blank one on the wall, and it's still blank.
The idea was like...
No, that's the idea, isn't it? But when you see them walking past celebrating, you just think that's just your standards. And no, you're right. You know, he'll probably rip them all down and stuff pictures of like Highland cows or something. And I think that'd be nice. I think that would be nice. Walking in every day, seeing a nice picture of a Highland coo, as they call them. Why not? A coo, that's what they call them, a coo. It's a fact.
No, I don't.
You don't know if they call them a coup, or you don't know whether they should put them on the wall. Both. No, they do call them a coup. I am the only expert on the Highlands, because I've been. That makes me an expert.
Hang on. I think I've been the Highlands.
Have you though?
Yeah.
How north? Let's have a north off.
All right, you probably went north. Okay. I went to Inverness.
So I went past Inverness.
Yeah, well, that's okay, but that's quite far north, Inverness.
Sinnicus.
Was there loads of midgies? Don't they get loads of midgies
only
in the summer?
Loch Lomond got bitten alive at Loch Lomond,
yeah.
That's not the Highlands, though.
No, it's not. But I went right up St.
I'm just testing
Inverness,
you.
Back down.
Just testing your knowledge.
1,000 miles in 3 days, I think.
Would you go 1,000 more?
I would go 1,000 more for David Moyes, yeah. No, but this is where we are, aren't we? We're in a position now where it can be. I know, like you said before, Sam, it's not for everybody. Know that. But I think even the most critical can sort of look at it and go, I get it. They mightn't like it. But one thing I would say is, it's not even style of play, because I don't think Everton, I don't know. Again, you can't speak for people, can you? For me personally, I'm not bothered about passing it out from the back and splitting the two centre-backs and building up. Yes, it's nice if you can do it at times, but people become too far the other way. But I was just fed up with us wellying the ball up to one striker and hoping that he could keep it. And David Moyes, even though he is sort of a pragmatic manager, his teams do play decent footy. And, you know, the links again, and I know, Everton probably just went back to the normal transfer book with 11 targets in out of the whole world.
Big book of farewell.
We only know 4 players. But Ernest knew him, if Everton can get him in, and, David Moyes can obviously be assessing that one, but there's a little bit of Mohamed Kudus in that kind of transfer. I'm not saying he's as good as Kudus or whatever, but he is dynamic. He does run with the ball. And if you look at the players that Moyes they get into West Ham, you know, Paqueta, he was the one that went for Bowen. Obviously, Kudus is in there. He's not amazing with strikers, David Moyes. He's never been amazing with strikers, has he? But
you're buying them or playing them?
Bit of both. I mean, he's at, like, Yakubu was obviously amazing, but he got injured. You've got Sahar, who was injury prone. He was good when he was on.
Oh, had some great goals though, didn't he? Had a decent rep. No, I'm just saying, had a decent record, didn't he?
I think the thing is,
Tim Cahill was always the issue, and Marouane Fellaini.
Yeah.
They were always the issue, weren't they?
That's because they just worked in that formation. But I think he'll have money to spend at Everton, which he never ever had before. It won't be, obviously, it might have been different had we got him in 2016 when there was, seemed like an endless pot and no rules. Might have been different. But I think if he just gets us looking upwards, because I think that's what he will do, I think he'll remove. You've got to get the results. But don't forget, when he came in the first time, he came in and Everton were down. Yeah. And there was 9 games to play. Zach was asking me yesterday about it, and he was like, "What? When he come in?" And I was like, "We were down, mate." Yeah. I said, "We'd just been beaten 3-0 in the quarter-final by Middlesbrough." I was there. And it was embarrassing. It was 3-0 at half time. It was an embarrassing display. But we were just getting beat week after. It was terrible. And yet he came in and obviously won the first.
Won 3 out of 4.
3 out of 4, didn't he? Obviously we got battered by Newcastle, but
I was there also.
I was at Derby when we were brilliant, but even I was explaining to Zach, even in that one, we were 4-1 up and allowed them to score 2 goals in the last 5 minutes or some Branco. Branco Stroopar scored.
We were holding on,
and we held on, but we got the wins, didn't we? And we were safe, and he flipped it then in the summer with Joseph Yobo, and we went on, didn't we? From there, Richard Wright. Wasn't great, but you know what I mean. And he got us looking upwards, and I think when people look at Everton's squad, and when you say, and some people have a really difficult time understanding what you're saying. When you look at
that, are you speaking Highland Scottish?
Like Highland Scottish with coup.
Military coup.
The military coup, the Moyes coup now. When you say about this squad and go, it's better than what it's showing. Some people think that you're saying that you'll get into Europe, and you're literally not. What you're saying is they could have 7-8 more points than they've got, and therefore be in no danger. That's all you're saying. And Sam, do you think he can squeeze that bit extra out of each of these players?
Well, I think he can, and I think that point you've just made is really interesting, because that's something I've thought of throughout this whole kind of when it looks like Dyche is going to get the elbow and someone else comes in. Who that next person to come in is very much dependent on the situation that the club is in short term, unfortunately, with an eye on long term. Because if we had, you took 7-8 more points. If we had 5-6 more points, I think Everton are a lot more comfortable. And then the managerial search, it might still be David Moyes that they go for, but you're able to then look a little bit further on than just the end of the season and think, could we get a younger manager? Could we get someone who's never managed in England before? Could we bring someone in and kind of let them build something for 5 years, 6, 7 years, Whereas, as it is, because there's, I don't want to dig up the whole Sean Dyche record again, because no goals, a couple of draws, hardly any wins most of the time. You can't be taking a gamble at this point, because things do look quite perilous at the moment. I think, as much as I don't want to dwell on kind of things that never happened, there's always a part of me that thinks if the multiverse is real, there's a planet somewhere where David Moyes doesn't leave Everton for Man U. He stays, and he's there when Machiri's money comes in. And instead of just doing the money ball thing and buying all these crazy number 10s, he uses the diligence and the kind of the strategy that he has for recruitment, and we end up, solidifying in the top 5, 6 of the Premier League. But obviously that never happens. But I think over the coming weeks, we'll start to see what David Moyes is implementing. I think we need to give him a little bit of time, but I think you're going to see an instant increase in standards, aren't you, across the training and just the kind of approach to the play, like we've talked about. And I think that's going to be a big thing for Everton that hasn't been it. Can I just say one thing about the TV coverage of the Peterborough game? The way they were talking about Sean Dyche on the commentary was unreal. Like, they were talking like he'd been mauled in front of like the players of Finch Farm by a tiger that had escaped from Nosey Safari Park. They were talking about a really difficult day for Evertonians, whereas me and my mates were all ringing each other going, he's gone. The witch is dead.
Mad.
We were made up.
It is mad, Sam. the coverage of Dyche losing his job was absolutely crazy. Number one, he lost his job when he lost it because of contract negotiations, essentially. They didn't just tap on his door at 4 o'clock and say, you're sacked. You know, he'd basically known he was sacked all week. Yeah. It was all just contract stuff. So it was a case of getting it all sorted. People understand who were around it will understand that. And he obviously certainly knows that. But yeah, and that's the other side. Like, most Evertonians were like, wow, thank God for that. Whereas the media were like, oh, this is terrible, and how are they going to cope? And it was just like, the media just don't, the mainstream media just don't understand. They don't seem to read the room whatsoever, do they? No, they don't, and it's mad when all the evidence is there in front of them. You know, you'll have journalists who obviously follow fans, you know, and will keep an eye on the trends of what's going on amongst the fan base if they're covering them, so they know. So why does it become why is it a shock to them? Most people will be like, most ones who cover Everton will be looking and going, this is what most fans like. But it's when you get the renter-gobs on and I do understand that I am one of those renter-gobs, when they're like, you know, the best, like Paul Mason said, you never go back, to a man who literally went back to West Ham and won them a trophy. He literally went back. Yeah. Like, what are you talking about, man?
Nonsense.
What are you talking about?
Well, thank God for Toffee TV, because I can't imagine having to follow this whole news story through the national media, because it would have just been like, what is no one else seeing this? Because this is, it's like they're watching a different story.
It's like psychosis, isn't it? It's like everyone's, you're looking at them going, what are you, like, you're right, like, man. Well,
is it like it's a Jedi mind trick that Sean Dyche put on everyone? And he's just like, these aren't the results you're looking for.
That's the mad thing. That's the mad thing. Like, to be fair to Sean Dyche, and managers typically do this. They just go away, don't they? And then pop up with Jake Humphries at some point. But like, and they'll get the feelers out, and they'll get their side of the story out to the journos and the ex-players that they want to. I get that, and that's why I'd never listen to an ex-player who has no idea. Like, you know, so last week it was after the Bournemouth game, and a couple of people were saying to me about Robbie Savage was saying, this is after the Bournemouth game when Everton have not had a shot on target, and Robbie Savage is on national radio telling Evertonians that they'd be mad to get rid of this man because he's the only man who can keep them up after they've just been beaten at Bournemouth without a shot on target. Do you know what I mean? It's like, it's just a weird paradox within itself of like, the fella who's taking you down is the only fella who can keep you up. And it is that, like, mates, but you know, they've all crossed each other's paths, and they'll cross each other's paths in the future, and nobody wants to upset anybody. And it's just a weird, like, and they wonder why, you like, people like us and others now fill the space, because, you know, I seen a rant last night or night before from a Liverpool fan who looks like a baby, but he, you know what, for the first time I agreed with the lad, because he was talking about, like, it was obviously about Liverpool, and about, there was someone from the Echo saying, oh, no Liverpool fan should get upset if FSG don't put their hands in the pocket to strengthen. And this lad was like, how dare you tell the fan base not to be upset when Liverpool are in a brilliant position in the league, but should be strengthening, because everyone knows Man City are going to strengthen. How dare you tell a fan base not to get upset? And he was like, and it was the first time that I'd actually heard this lad, well, say a sentence correctly, but it was the first time I'd actually agreed with him, because there's this idea of like, we know more than you do. And it's the same with the Dyche thing. It's like, how dare you tell fans? And this isn't about people like me ranting and raving, let's say, or it's just like lots of like really articulate people like Dyche should come to the end of his time, and just because you're an ex-player who's probably not watched Everton once all season, other than maybe noticed that we got the 3 draws over Christmas, and that's what's like made you go, oh, he's the right man. It's absolutely crazy. Though it's just
nuts.
Mad.
And Baz always brings up the 4 months without a win, which is, I mean, that's a no-brainer. But also that thing that was all over Twitter, it was like how many league goals we've scored in each calendar month in 2024. That alone, that's no further questions, Your Honour. The manager's just not doing the job because we're just not scoring goals. So everything else is just noise, isn't it, when you look at the cold, hard facts. But it's strange, isn't it, how national media, if they're paying attention and looking how people are coming over to fan media because it's just giving a much more articulate and in-depth, realistic coverage of so many sides of the game. That, because it's just a nonsense, isn't it? Absolute nonsense.
Put it this way, right? I got sent a league table last night of Everton since January 30th, 2023, with only teams that have been in the Premier League. So no one who's come up. No. Everton are rock bottom. Mm-hmm. They are 8 points below Wolves. But this is the major stat. They have scored 26 less goals in that time, and 26 less goals than Wolves, though. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
the next three teams have got 100 goals and we've got 74, and then the next one, Brentford, have got 120 goals. Now there are teams above Brentford who've got less goals than they have, but that paints the picture, doesn't it?
Yeah.
That paints the picture, and yes, the goals against is much better. You can say that, and the goal difference is far from worse. But it's that goal scored column and the points, and that's the point, isn't it? The points, goals scored, and the points we've got go hand in hand. You just can't win games without scoring goals, and draws are simply not enough in the Premier League. You have to win games of football. You just have to if you want to push up. And teams have realised that and are willing to risk losing a game of football to win a game of football. And it's something that he would never do as a manager. And don't get me wrong, I don't expect that to turn around under David Moyes dramatically. But you've got to have a way of scoring goals, and he simply did not understand that. And again, that shows the difference between sort of being on the cusp, a modern manager on the cusp of doing things.
Well, Moyes does try to win games of football, and that's the difference. And so we'll have to wait and see. Obviously, we might be sat here in May and we've been relegated.
Thanks, Baz.
Oh, Sean Dyche was right, but I'm willing to bet that we are sat here comfortable and have won games and scored goals, because I just think a lot of it is outcomes. A lot of it is giving players confidence. A lot of it is giving players, yes, you've got a job to do, but it's all come out, and again, it's what you find. Manager gets sacked, and then all of a sudden, it all comes out in the dressing room, and from Finch Farm, and the attacking players were totally disheartened. Well, wonder why. You're more like defenders. Yeah, you do your work from the front, but your key is the other end of the pitch. You know what I mean? And that's what it's about. So it's a balance. And listen, David Moyes, it might take him a little bit of time. Who knows? It'd be great if we could get 4 points out these next 2 home games. It'd be brilliant. 6 would be incredible. 4 would be a really good start. But we'll have to wait and see. But I'm sure the crowd will be right behind it anyway, because I think the majority of people, even if not everyone, and there will be people who are not happy, and there'll be people who still haven't forgiven him for trying to bite Fellaini 10 years ago or whatever, 12 years ago, 11 years ago. There'll be people who aren't happy because they'll have been looking and going, well, we could have gone and got a young manager who's trying to build. But you also do have to take a step back and go, look where we are. Let's get organised. Let's start winning some games. Let's move away from where we are and let's see where we go. And hopefully, because it does feel more upbeat now. It does, regardless. Listen, any manager might have done, but I think David Moyes, there's a bit of sentimentality in there. Of course there is. There's a bit of comfort blanket there. But he does genuinely, Everton are genuinely his club. And while that's not 100% a reason to give someone a crack at it, he does have high standards and he will have a go. And that right now is a big upgrade. And hopefully the players can take it on board. And he did a good job at West Ham the both times he went in there, and that's his last job. So there's no reason to think, okay, he's not going to make a big difference here. So hopefully he can, and hopefully it'll give everybody else at the in the freaking group and all that decision makers then give the room to make those other decisions that undoubtedly they will be making, and the team can improve as it is.
Do you have a memory of something from Moyes' first era that was like, I don't know, not something like a win, but something that was just a funny memory, or something where he done something where you went, ooh. Because I always remember when he, the funniest one was, remember when he put Anna Chaby on, and everyone was like, what are you doing? Yeah. And then Anna Chaby, I think, scored or set one up, and he took off his coat and just took it off and just threw it down as in to say, there you go, shut up.
See, I like that.
No, I like saying that.
That was one of my things with Sean Dyche, is that he'd have a dig, but he'd leave the dig hanging, so we could always backtrack. Where I like that. Moyes just went, you just shut up. You'll sit there and you'll back them, and I make the decisions, and you'll get on board with it. If you're gonna have a go with us, have a go with us.
Yeah.
So don't leave anything 50-50. Do you know what I mean? If you're gonna bollock us properly, and then we know.
Yeah.
Don't leave the. No, I think I always like this little scrap with Mancini on the touchline. I liked all that. He did used to front stuff up. And what about when he just decided? He said, "Don't ask me about it. Need to be in a press conference." And the fella asked him. He just got up and walked out. I've finished fine. I thought that one was quite funny. I've said, "Don't ask me." The fella, yeah, but what about? And he just went, "Yeah, it's got off." And I was stuck back to the one at West Ham where someone said Moyes. Moyes, we're not fucking that close. I didn't, you know what I mean? That kind of thing. Is that like, I just think, listen, there's loads of David Moyes, but you could.
I remember. I had a season ticket for most of his tenure at the club, in the main stand. But there was a game that I couldn't go to because it was in London, and it was. Do you remember when Andy Johnson scored the last minute against Arsenal in the rain,
and it was snowing?
Yeah. And it was. Did we win 1-0 or was it 2-1? I can't remember.
No, 1-0 last minute.
1-0, and it was in injury time, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was like a really late goal
in the snow.
I've been in the sleet and the snow. It was horrible. But I was in London, so I was, and I'd been up all night. I was a lot younger. I'd just been in a party all night, and then me and my brother just went to the pub in the morning, and we just just in this. It was It's a Screen bar, on Tottenham Court Road, I think it was. Surrounded by Arsenal fans, both me and my brother keeping our heads down, and then that goal went in at the end, and we just went absolutely mental, and I had to leave the pub straight away because it was going to kick off. But I remember just like going down the street feeling so happy because we deserved that win, and there's so many games under Moyes where you think we deserve a goal here. There's a goal coming, and we'd score, and I can't remember what that feels like. So if you can bring that back, that'd be great.
You know what? Like before we lighten it, before we finish, is the thing I always think back for Moyes' time now. I don't know whether this will happen now, and it might, but I always felt with David Moyes at home is that we'd always be chasing a goal, like properly chasing it, like wave after wave. And that's sort of gone since he left. It's got like Martinez we had good players,
passive,
so we were different things, but
different
there's
energy.
Been so many.
There was an energy, wasn't there?
That was
there was an energy. There was an energy and to our play, and you always felt, and the amount of times that we either got a last minute winner or we turned around being 1-0 down to win 2-1. We just chased after people, and we got that momentum always, and that was a big part of his time at Everton, and that kept you on the hook, didn't it? No one was leaving early, and the atmospheres would build and build and build, and you could always, that always happened and stuff. So yeah, I mean, if he can repeat that kind of thing, I always liked the one as well. I think we played Bolton away, weren't we, in the cup, and just another of one way, and he brought John Heitinger on, and people were kicking off. Because it was like, we were going to be 1-0. It was like, it's just why are you doing a defensive? But he brought Heitinger on, and it moved Fellaini up front, and Fellaini, we scored. And then I think Heitinger got the winner in the last minute. And it was one of those as well, just like, I think that one he didn't take a coat off. I think he actually turned around to our fans and just looked at them and gave them a glare and to say, I know what I'm doing, And it was just, I loved that though about him, where he would challenge you and I hope he does that again of I'm the manager, I actually know what I'm doing. And because that's what we should have. That's what we should. There's no problem with that at all. I want a manager who actually knows what he's doing. Be great.
I want that. Like I said, when you go into Goodison, I want to know we're giving everything to win the game. We're not just hoping for a 0-0 and then take a corner and try and score. I want us to get after teams, and what you lack in quality, you make up for in good coaching and hard work and getting energy, putting energy into it at home, because Goodison has become a joyless experience.
Yeah.
Really has. It's
I've watched,
not been the same.
I've watched a couple of videos this week. One from like a European blogger he was over from Germany, and he was rating the ground.
Because
obviously it's the last one.
Yeah.
And he was just like, and to be fair to him, he was really like honest, but he just went. He gave like the stadium like a 9 out of 10. He's like, there's like nothing like it in Germany, but he just said the atmosphere was like 1. He said I don't know what it is. He said, but it's like, and then I seen another one. I think it was from a Bournemouth fan, and he was less nice, but he was just like, Peterborough fan, sorry, and he was just like saying how deadly, like how horrendous the atmosphere was. No, I know, and that's what I'm saying. You couldn't not agree with them.
No.
And obviously the Peterborough one slightly more, like, because obviously we played them and beat them, but this German guy, I just thought, I'm glad you're brutally honest, but he was, because when he said, he went, that's sad, isn't it, the last season, and they're being treated to terrible stuff on the pitch, and the crowd haven't got anything to react to, and they're still here. He said, he said 39,000 here. He said, I think it was the Forest game he went to. He said, there's 39,000 here. He said, but they've got nothing to sing about, or he said, obviously
there's not even like a Phil Neville tackle. That was always the thing under Moyes, wasn't it? Phil Neville tackle, and it would, like, we joke about it, but it would change the atmosphere and then change the game in some ways. And there's not even that at the moment, and it's hard to get off your seat, isn't it, when you win a throw in? Really,
I think generally. Like this lad was saying, like, obviously in Germany they just sing anyway, don't they? They back the team. Yeah. They don't wait for he said, obviously in this country we're a little bit different, aren't we? We wait for the team to do something, and then we sing more, and obviously we've been conditioned the last 25 years to sit on our seats, haven't we, as well? That's another big problem with English football as well. That's happened, obviously. But yeah, hopefully we start backing them and doing our bit, and then they do bit, because we're all a bit more aligned now. Because we actually like the fella who's in charge.
Oh, that's it, isn't it? Everyone's just got to get behind them and see where we.
Do you feel better? Yeah. Have you come off that ledge you were on last week? Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Because it was just...
That's good.
What I couldn't... No, but the thing was, Sam, is that it's the thing of, like, everybody knew he was getting binned. Everybody. Everybody. The minute these come in, he was gone. And it was just, how long were they waiting for? It was, we give him an acceptable amount of time. But Everton, for me, because Everton wanted to change him in October and wanted to change him in November, and I don't understand why they didn't, but hey ho, that's a different story. And yet we just seem to be crossing games off, going, just another game out the way, doesn't matter, we're getting to the point where we're going to change. And it's like, I don't understand when you're the way we are, why everything keeps getting put back, why you're prepared to cross foot. We done it with Frank Lampard. Brighton beat us 4-1 at home. He should have gone. And I liked Lampard, but he wasn't delivering. He should have gone that night. Forget about Man United in the FA Cup on the Friday. Anyone could have took that. We got beat anyways, it happened. And then we still lost another 2 games. And it was almost like you've just gone, we'll leave it a few more weeks and then we'll make the decision. And that's what I felt. So last week, I was just totally and utterly deflated, because it was like, we just rolled from one game to the next. You know, we'd had 19 games and hadn't scored in 11 of them. You know, and things like that. And it's like, what more do people need to see something isn't working? And it just come to the end of it. So last week I was like really deflated, because it was like, this could just keep rolling on, and we can't keep just going.
Because you got no evidence, have you?
There's another game, and it's like,
I felt like was it in Lethal Weapon 1 where Mel Gibson grabs the fella's hand and then they just jump off the building together into the thing. I felt like, obviously when I say I feel like Mel Gibson, not in a, like, you know, I'm not anti-Semitic lunatic who's doing conspiracy theories about why his house burnt down. You know, just in a Lethal Weapon kind of way. Just wanted to make that clear. Just want to put that little disclaimer on. Do you know what I mean?
Always
little asterisks.
Always put a disclaimer on. Sam, want to ask you this: are you watching Traitors?
No, because I missed the first season, and everyone. If the next segment is dependent on me seeing it, then I'm sorry to throw a spanner in the works.
Whoa. Let's not rewind. It's not Coronation Street.
They don't keep the same cast.
No, I know, but I remember the first season came out, and everyone said you got to watch this because it's like it's like reality TV. That's like, it's different, and it's. Yeah. So I wanted to watch the first season because I was scared that the second season would just be like Big Brother, where season 1 is proper social experiment, and season 2 is just people who want a little bit of attention.
It's not Squid Game.
Yeah.
It's not, is it?
I'll be honest, mate.
Would you recommend it then?
Yeah, it's tremendous. You could watch this one, go and watch the second one, go and watch the first one. They're all different.
Standalone.
Because of the game. It's just because of the game. But it's just dead interesting.
So what's your point?
Well, he's ruined it, because obviously I've missed it. I was going to say, well, obviously, there's 3 traitors are picked, and obviously there's the faithful. I was talking yesterday to my missus about it, and it was like, the 2 interesting facts about it, for me, or interesting things that are picked out, is just one, how you're rooting for the ones who are evil, almost, in it, if you like.
Except that one person.
Apart from,
Yeah.
Well, in fact, now it's 2. I hope the other... But anyway, that's one. And the other thing is, how easy people are influenced. I just think really, really interesting. So obviously, without spoiling it, Sam, and I think you should watch it, is that when they go into this round table to have a vote on who they think are the bad guys, so to speak, but how someone's like, they've had no theory whatsoever, they go in and they're just swayed immediately. It's like in that...
That's terrifying, isn't it?
It's mad, honestly, because the other day, I won't name names, but someone said, well, they get, I think it's them, and other people going, yeah, I'm definitely voting for them. And then they go in and have a little discussion, and all change. Well, one did, but the others change, and you're going, where's that come from? Well, that's how easy, and I just wondered.
There was an episode, there was a last episode, wasn't there, where someone got voted out, and when you walked into the room, there was no way they were, they were ever going, like Joe Royle. When he got sacked,
saw Andre Flo,
and by the time the end of it, that person, loads of people voted for, and you're like, and it was almost like you talked yourself into that by being. But I like it when they go, Kathy, when that person walked into the room, you were looking at the croissants. You've got something to hide. Yeah. It's like, yeah, you have. But yeah, you have type 2 diabetes. That's it.
There was one the other day, again, without naming names, where they said to someone after the round table, you haven't got a clue who to vote for. You're saying it. I'm like, I know, because I don't know who it is. That's why. Because I'm sitting with loads of you and I've no idea.
This is a bit of a spoiler, but it's not, because it doesn't have any context. It's like
mad.
Someone went, I think you're the traitor in the environment. You don't know how to tie ropes to ships.
Yeah.
And the girl was like, I'm not a sailor.
She said, I'm not a sailor. Sam, honestly, watch it.
I'm not a sailor.
And you need to watch it, because you need to watch season 3, because in the very first episode, Gary Barlow's son's in it as a traitor.
The big one, the big fella.
Massive one. You don't see him, you just see this huge traitor, but it definitely...
But what I will say is, don't watch the American version of it.
Is it crap?
Well, I'll tell you why. Right, this is a spoiler.
Scottish fella,
Alan Cumming, right? Yeah. This is a spoiler, right, for why it's rubbish. It's got Americans in it.
Oh. And yet, ironically, the American Ghost is very funny.
Okay. But that's scripted. That's scripted television.
Yeah.
It's going to be a ghost film.
Is there? Yeah. I like it.
It's good.
I like
good program, Ghost.
Sam, did you watch... Because I see what my brain's gone from Ghost there then to Gavin and Stacey, because he wasn't in Gavin and Stacey. The poet out of Ghosts, who was Dino, who wasn't it? Did you watch Gavin and Stacey, the last ever one?
I did, yeah. Big fan of that show. Love it.
What did you think?
I loved it.
Yeah.
There's something about that. There's something about that show where it's dead funny, but it's also warm, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's warm, and we live in a very cold world at the moment, don't we? Not just because there's a lot of ice around Liverpool,
also,
but in terms of just the atmosphere.
Sorry, Sam. I also feel like, in many ways, this will happen for shows for different people. But when that first came on, loads of people will have seen themselves as that around that age. So therefore, they've progressed with those people. And obviously, Gavin and Stacey in the show got married ages ago and had kids, and loads of people will find themselves at that place, won't they? So it's for them, it's a reflection on their lives and where they are, and all that kind of thing, and not seeing your mates as much and all that kind of thing. So you do get these shows of like it reflects you in some ways, or you grew up with the same. It's like if you watch, I don't know if this mightn't make any sense to other people, but it's like if I watch American Pie, right? When that came out, I was a little bit older, but you can watch that now and go, and you watch like American, you go straight to Greg's. You don't go to McDonald's.
Oh, Goodison.
No.
Don't to McDonald's.
Don't.
Oh my God.
Steak by Goodison.
There's a 60-hour waiting A&E at the moment.
There's certain programs that you can watch. It's like there's a certain amount of films, isn't it? It's like I don't know. I'm trying to think of the generation of films, like something like 10 Things I Hate About You, right? You could watch that now, and it's about teenagers, but because you were a teenager or around that when that come out, but we couldn't watch that if it came out now because we couldn't identify with it, but at all. But then we can identify with it because we were that age when it came out, or around that age, and we knew the troubles of what they went through, even though we weren't rich, both Americans, or sung songs about on the football field or whatever, but you know the point I'm making. And I think that's the same with Gavin and Stacey. It's follow through people's lives. So it's harder for younger people probably to go into it now and watch it because they'll be like, well, this doesn't represent me, but I feel like that represents a lot of our generation. So
do you know, me and my wife, we go back and we watch the Christmas specials every Christmas. And the first Christmas special, which I don't know what year it was it 2009 or something? There's a bit at the start where Smithy's got an A to Z on the dashboard of his car, and I just go, that dates this so massively. An A to Z. No one's got an A to Z now, have they? But what I loved about the show is it was funny. The story ended perfectly, and it ended. Isn't it great when something ends? Because so many franchises just keep going on and keep going on, and like Dexter's got a new season out. It might be might not, but just end when it's, especially when you got a good ending. Just pull the plug and just go. No more.
The one that should have ended and didn't end at the right time, and then when it ended, it was bad, was Only Fools and Horses.
Yeah.
They should have just let them go into the sunset with the money, and that was done. But then they brought them back, and haven't they lost all the money? And the 3 ones were crap, and then that's where it ended. And you're like, no one ever remembers that last episode of Only Fools and Horses because it had no real sort of punch to it, and you were almost waiting for the next one. But if they'd left it with, they found the watch, they got the money, everyone would have gone, oh, what a magnificent end that was.
Yeah.
Perfect end, and they finally become millionaires, which is what he's always been talking about. But instead, let's, because I think Frasier's back now, isn't he? Is Frasier back?
I think he was coming back as well. Scrubs.
Was that coming back?
Yeah, it is. It's coming back, because the guy who wrote Scrubs wrote... he wrote Bad Monkey, which is really, really good. Me and Baz have watched that on Apple TV. He wrote that. And he wrote Ted Lasso as well, didn't he? So,
and Ted Lasso's coming back, which also ended nicely.
Ted Lasso's only been on 5 minutes.
I know, I'll watch it. I mean, it's weird that we spent 50 minutes talking about how great it is that Moyes has come back, and now we're moaning that Ted Lasso's coming back and all the other stuff's coming back. But it's just, get some new ideas, like, get some new...
Lovely synergy there.
Banker, isn't it?
Yeah, there's safe money in it. That's the thing. That's the problem with like stuff like that now, isn't it? There's so much, and going back to what I said before, I've just finished season 2 of Squid Game, and it's absolutely brilliant. I love it.
Oh, is it
and
good?
One of the things,
right.
I love Squid Game. It's so good, mate. Honestly, it's just
I love the first season.
Have you watched the first season? Yeah,
I've seen the first season. Loved it.
So you've got to watch the second season, because
I will watch the second.
It's a really good continuation, and there's going to be a third season this year as well. So, and then it finishes. But one of the reasons they said that's become such a big hit, and when I mean big hit, it's like it's the biggest Netflix hit of all time. It's huge. But the fact of like it came from nowhere, no one knew anything about it. It hasn't got any previous IP, nothing. Just something that someone made in their heads. Netflix they didn't even think it was going to be a big show, because obviously it's from Korea, and it's become huge in the financial spin-off. So that's been absolutely huge, and it's because it's this original idea. And people just absolutely loved it, because it was something that...
I've got a question for you on that, because I didn't know it was the biggest one. I knew it was massive.
Yeah.
Obviously, all the iconography and all the symbols and the masks and that are really, really, the visual recognition of it. Is it a massive hit? The first season, it's subtitled, isn't it?
Yeah, I can only watch it with subtitles.
So I love subtitled shows, because I then can't look at my phone.
Yeah,
I've got to watch the show. So is there some element of that being so successful that everyone all of a sudden has to watch the show properly and therefore enjoy the story rather than half watch it and go, that didn't make sense? Yeah, because you were looking at bloody Blue Sky for half of it, you knobhead.
So let me say this to you then. Is that why they make the English dubbing so bad then?
Yeah.
Because I don't know other people, but the dubbing on... Because even in the first season on Squid Game, there's a sequence where they get these actors in. Sorry, obviously they're all actors. There's a sequence where they get these people in who are brought in as VIPs to watch the games unfold. That's why the games are there, for these rich people to watch and laugh at poor people.
Yeah.
And some of them are English, or American, and their accents are so incredibly bad, but as their normal accents. So it's like they brought the people in who'd been dubbing everybody else to be the English people, and it's so like it's like they've got Korean accents, but trying to speak American. It's such a weird dynamic.
That's like an accent, though, isn't it? Dub should be an accent.
Yeah,
it's almost like you have to talk like this.
It's so weird, but you might have hit on something there. Just it's maybe it's something we do with Toffee TV. Maybe we just to get people watching more, we just start speaking different language but I think that you might be onto something there, that people do concentrate more. It's something that if you're going to watch it, you have to give your full attention, and that's why people get into it properly rather than like watching the first one and they've got the phone in their hand and then going, I didn't really enjoy that. And it's like, because you bleeding watch it. Like my missus is terrible at. I put something on and she misses the first 20 minutes and then it catches her eye and then she starts asking a million questions. And I was like, if you just put your phone down and watch it properly, well, you didn't tell me you was putting it on. Well, you were looking at Taylor Swift stuff again. What more Taylor Swift to buy? Anyway, and that's just that's just me.
It's not even the whole show. If you miss one key scene or even like a setup scene, or you didn't really get the subtext to it, then the whole show doesn't work. Or because the levels of it don't work.
There's scenes in TV shows where people don't talk, but you're visually seeing something.
Yeah.
But because if you haven't looked up from your phone, you're going to miss that moment, even if someone's not speaking.
Huh?
Honest to God,
unbelievable.
He just deleted his search history there. That's a big plot point.
Are you sure you're not just thinking about yourself?
Yeah, let's leave it there before Sam gets himself into trouble.
You said that out loud, Sam?
Yeah. Right.
No wonder you were on the couch.
Yeah, telling you. Right. Let's...
Full circle.
Let's leave it. Let's leave it there. Back to Sam being on the couch. We'll see whether he's still on the couch next week. Right.
But I'll be on the road later this year. Segue. If anyone wants to buy tickets for me tour, go samaverycomedy.com/shows.
For Thunderstorm.
Thunderstorm, yeah. Which sounds more like a
When are you playing in Liverpool?
I remember your comment. November. All of November. No, just one date in November. I can't remember.
Okay, I'm just waiting for that envelope with the tickets to just appear on that.
It'll be an email.
Right, perfect.
Sorry, the modern world now, to just be an email.
Right, nice one. There you go. Make sure you like, subscribe, do all that. We'll see you later. Up the Moyesy Toffees.